Welcome back to the Esports Central Podcast, season number 2, episode number 3. We racking these up faster than ever, and this time we're joined by our super special guest, Travis Castaway, extraordinaire in the Dota world, and one of my good friends in the scene. How you doing, lad?
I'm doing good, thanks. And you?
I'm doing great. Happy to have you here as always. You know, for
Thanks
the
for having
people
me.
who don't follow Dota SA, this guy is nicknamed Caster God for good reason. He smashed SA Dota for so many years. We'll get more into his accolades and stuff. But yeah, just to throw back to the old school, Travis, you remember that interview we did? My first interview ever for all the Esports Central fans was with this man on plastic chairs outside one of the VS gaming lads. It was hilarious, that one.
Geez, watching that's like a complete throwback. Like we're so
Yes.
young and plastic chairs, like you said. It's come a long way for sure.
No, for sure. I'm a big boy now because before every single interview I did for a while, Fury was always there with me. Like for that one, he was the cameraman for the one with you. Then in Cape Town later that year, he sat in the interview I did with Bish, with like so many. He was always just there for interviews. So now, I'm alone. No more Fury Dota with me. But I got a bit of a better guest in terms Dota wise at least.
Sorry, Fury.
Yeah. No shade, Fury. You know where you stand on the pecking order. But I mean, let's get into the crux of it straight up, right? We obviously you have a long reputation. You got a very interesting story. I mean, obviously you played overseas. You've done it all in the Dota world, from the SA perspective. But let's start on the most recent things, right? You've recently played in the VS Gaming LAN DGC Championships, or VDGC now as they call it, and that was quite a good performance from your Sin 5 team, because the team you guys have been struggling, well, not struggling, but had a couple of woes against throughout the Energy Esports. You guys beat them in the finals. You guys destroyed them. That was the only time I seen you like smash them. And then in the grand finals, you managed to pull the 3-1 victory. And you were down, like, okay, so the first game they won, but every single match, you guys were down. One game, you guys were down 10K, one game 6K. It looked like they had the game every single time, but you guys had the composure, you brought it, and you managed to win 3-1 in the end. What is going on in the team? Let's say after game 1, what does the team speak like?
Well, game one, I was pretty adamant. Like, let's not just play so passive. Let's not be so scared. Because like we have this Enigma Blink BKB. We just have to BKB Black Hole the Void, and we win like every fight. That was the whole point of the last pick. Enigma, excuse me. And it just felt like we played so passive. So not tiltingly, I just said like, hey guys, we have to like pick up the pace. We've beaten them before. They have two AFK farming heroes, like farming players, Adestam and Depi. They both like to eat creeps the whole game. So like, let's just like go and make stuff happen. Like they can't play at our pace. And we decided to just switch things up for game 2.
Oh, that's really great. And it panned out for game number 2. I mean, I think game number 2 was the one where I think they were 10K up, but maybe that was game number 3. So
Yeah,
it was a great
no, that
finals.
was.
Or was that
I think
one
every
that was 10K
game.
up? Okay.
Yeah, every game they were like 10K up. Yeah. The storm game was game 2, where we had that one really good fight in our jungle. Yeah, and we like 5-man wiped them. Yeah, the Storm Void. Yeah, but then Void died back at the end, and then they came to fight us 3v5, and I luckily just killed Oracle, killed Phoenix of the 3v3, and then I had to kill Adam because he was killing our base. It was like, the comms. I was like, hit the bear, kill the bear, and then like eventually we killed them, and then Troll ultied, and he was hitting the Mars. I was like, sick. Okay, thank the Lord we won this game.
Game 2 was so stressful because that was the one where I was watching, and I even tweeted afterwards. I was like, this is probably one of the best games SA Dota ever had, because like you were saying, they were smashing you guys, right? And then Aghanim had that clutch chrono on 3 of them. You guys wiped them after they tried to push the base, and then it was just like a base race at the end. But like you say, you got those 2 supports in that push, which was like so pivotal. And in that match, I mean, you were godlike throughout the game, and like I think they even, from energy side, obviously season's done now, Tamir and friends, don't get upset with me, Walp and the boys, but they were even saying like, we actually need to ban out these heroes where Castaway can pick off, because no matter how far they are in the game, they have like somebody always has to go push out lanes, do this, do that, and you're always there ready to fuck them,
Yeah, well, that game, like I realized I really thought about like energy going into the finals, and I thought about like stylistically how must we play to beat them, and they need a lot of farm, right? So obviously they need to play 3 lanes, but playing 3 lanes in Dota is like generally impossible against a good team, because they will just pick you off. So I just want to play these high mobile spirit heroes like Ember Spirit and Storm, and I can just pick people off, and Storm's like the king of that. he's really weak before his 2-item spike, team fighting. But when I get like Orchid and Kaya, I can just kill anyone. So like Whelp was pushing top, I kill him. He wants to take a rune, I kill him. Like Lone Druid's oversteps, I just kill him. Like me and Sky are like super strong. So yeah,
Right.
that was just the game plan going into Energy, and then we let Aghanim scale same as Deppy, and then we won fights basically.
I think one of the talents I really like noticed in Sin 5, especially in this finals, like it showed much better than always, is that you guys like almost had like the LGD playstyle when they were at their peak, when Ame was there, where you guys fight as 4 really effectively while Aghanim farms. So is that like something you guys practice and stuff to be able to play as 4 while Aghanim's getting farming like the hard carry king that he is?
Yeah, exactly. We practiced that for like the last 2 months, I would say. We just identified that the meta is very 4 protect 1. It's very heavy in that regard, and you need to have this scaling 1 that's gonna come online at like 25-30 minutes, and he needs to stand and bang with the enemy pos 1. Otherwise, fights are like impossible. If you have some underfarmed carry against some Void or TB, the game's just like feels impossible when they get items. So yeah, we've been practicing that a lot. And then we try to also sneakily get me to also scale as much as I can. So like a Storm Spirit or Ember Spirit, very active with runes, good around power spikes, but can scale. Not like a Tiny or something that just doesn't scale at all, but can make space. So yeah, we kind of, I wouldn't say we perfected it, but in essay terms, I would say we did. And we played the cleanest with like little mistakes in the winner bracket final. Like that was like our style, perfect, like perfectly executed. Aghanim just FK farmed on Void for like 25 minutes, didn't need to use a chrono. And then we made space.
I was in that SA chat for that upper bracket finals, memeing so hard. I was like, you guys were literally smashing them 4v5, because like, although you guys won the finals, it's not a surprising result in terms of how the games played out if you watch, right? Because it was like typically how you guys' games been going throughout the year, where they were winning throughout the match, and then you guys had the composure, holding high ground, getting that 1 or 2 clutch team fights and stealing the games. That makes sense of how the rivalry of Energy and Sin 5 played out throughout the year. But in upper bracket finals, it was a whole different beast. I mean, you guys destroyed them. So what is like game plan going into that match? Did you guys think you're going to beat them like that, or what happened there?
I actually didn't think we were going to beat them 2-0, and I didn't think game 2 was going to happen like that. Like, there's no ways. I thought we would beat them 2-1, pretty close games, like similar to how I imagined the grand finals, how the grand finals played out. But I think after game 1, we just really felt, I would say, even above confident, we felt quite cocky against them. We were like, actually, these guys are a lot worse than the EU players that we were playing against, like the scrums and stuff. Like, they didn't punish us on the map. We could just split push and farm. We could pick greedy heroes and stuff like that. So, and I think it's because of their playstyle as well. They just have 2 farming heroes. They can't really play the map early. And yeah, like when we went to game 2, I was just like, I'm not worried about Adestam. Like, just give me SF. Like, I'm just gonna dog him in lane, and I'm gonna buy Yules, and I'm gonna kill everyone. And like, Deppy, I think out of all the heroes for Deppy to play against us, TB is by far the worst. Like, by far the worst, because he has this like really fragile window in like the first 15-20 minutes of every game where he needs to farm up Manta Scuddy. He needs to get like his rate bans, and he has a pretty weak laning phase against all of Dennis's heroes and Caleb's heroes. So like, I'll see Sky or Sky Void Spirit, or like just Void Spirit in general. TB is like amazing, and they're super comfortable playing the lane. And if you get Dennis doesn't die if he like gets snowballing. I mean, he had like a 9-minute Orchid that game, and I had a good lane, and Tristan had a good lane against Counterpick Tide. Yeah, that game's like over at 15 minutes for sure.
No, I mean, that game, it panned out so crazy. So there's a lot of things you said there that I also want to address. So in the stream chat that day, when you picked SF, I was like, Castaway SF is a special, right? So one question I have to ask about SF before we even get into matchups, right? Is it true what we say? I heard a lot of mid players, like pro mid players, speak about this, that if the depending on how good the SF player is and how well he plays his matchup, he can beat like basically every hero in the mid lane. Is that true? Do you think, as an SF player yourself?
Yeah, for sure. That's why you can first pick the hero. Yeah, like people when they want to practice mid, or if they're feeling confident, like just first pick the hero. Like, you can first pick it in a game. He's so versatile. The raises are so ridiculously OP. Like, if like I played against Morphling today and on stream, and I've solo killed them like 4 times, because like if these heroes, like especially melee heroes, can tank like 1 or 2 raises. Like if you can get 1 or 2 raises off on them, and the 3rd raise comes out, like they just can't see it or they die. So yeah, SF's ridiculously strong, and he gets so much damage in the lane. His only weakness is he's not mobile and he doesn't have lockdown. like guaranteed lockdown. Obviously, he's got a fear with his ulti. But in terms of the lane, yeah, if you're good enough at your mechanics and you can hit your razors, you can get a good bottle timing and a good block and stuff. Yeah, he can beat any hero for sure.
So, and then about that matchup specifically against the Wind Ranger, do you think the Lina would have been a better lane, or the Wind Ranger matchup was fine? Because I thought the Lina might have been a bit better, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think like out of all the heroes I've struggled the most with against like as SF is definitely Lina's one of them, because she just takes stun level 1 and she gets level 2 first because she just pushes you off the wave, and you don't really want to use your razors to try and like win the harass battle level 1. You want to secure CS and stuff like that. So yeah, and then she can just snowball the lane, get level 3 first, get bottle first, pressure you off the wave, hit you with fiery soul stack, stuff like that. But Wind Ranger is more of a salvage a lane till 6 and then dive you with Javelin under your tower. But Caleb was playing Enchantress, so all he has to do is hold his TP, like I asked, and then if Windrunner dives me, just TP in, take off the Windrun, and we kill her. No problem. So yeah, I was thinking, like, as we picked SFO flip, like, what if they put Lina mid? But they put Windrunner mid, so I was super happy. And it made the Yules build, like, super good that game. Because, like, I can Yules bomb Windrunner or TB, like, every game. Every fight. So yeah, it was really easy for me. Like super easy for what to do.
Yeah, and like you were talking about the TB timing earlier, when you're playing SF against the slow draft, like you can just snowball the game because obviously it comes online so fast because of how fast it farms. And then once you're ahead, you can just, it does everything, right? It takes objectives, it pushes out waves, takes towers, it team fights brilliantly with that stupid change to the Requiem of Souls. I mean, again, and it's one of your signature heroes. So I was Superman. I'm looking at it, I was like, why did they put the Windrunner mid? But like you say, it is a timing based hero. Windrunner can always just like, once he gets a javelin, kill any hero. But you thought it through. I like to see, I mean, I hope Caleb had every single TP ready. I believe he told me before the podcast started, you told him he's not allowed to TP anywhere else.
Yeah. Like strictly this game, and like Dennis as well, like back me up. He was like, I don't care if you die and you have to walk back to lane at around like 5 or 6 minutes, because like that's the only way Windrunner gets back to that lane. And I felt like I was dogging on him, so I was like, literally, Caleb, like, don't you let this Windrunner come back in this game, you know, because it's on you. Just like keep your TP, and he was good. He just kept his TP. But I mean, there wasn't much dying in the game. Like no one died top lane. They were taking towers, and Dennis was getting his 9-minute orchid and stuff. So yeah, the game was like really smooth sailing.
Yeah, no, it was insane. I think one of Dota Dai's best performances I've seen. He had like you said, a 9-minute orchid. He didn't even feel the need to buy boots, and I just felt bad. Like Deppy was getting a decent amount of farm in that lane, but poor Mental, the minute he did anything, he was just dead. It was a rough game to play. It was one of those past 5 games where it's like, man, I don't want to be you. You might be 6k MMR and stuff, but I'd rather just chill here at home and watch this game because that is too rough.
Yeah, it was rough, Shen.
All right, so now to shift gears a bit, to ask the more bigger picture questions, right? So in this VS Gaming Finals, now, for those of you guys who don't know why we call him Caster God in the Dota world, it's been 4 years now in a row where you haven't lost the South African Dota tournament while you've been playing, not like in a row in terms of the years, but like you won Masters 2016, won Masters 2017, you took a break 2018, you came back last year, you won Masters 2019, and now the only big Dota tournament in SA, VSDGC, you've won as well. So it's 4 years in a row you've won, right? But in SA, obviously, I think you also had this opinion. Everybody had this opinion for a while that obviously Charles is the best player, the best player in SA Dota, and obviously he's retired and stuff now, so it changes things a bit. And obviously Deppy, when he was in C and stuff as well, when he was trying to make it as a pro, all these guys kind of semi-retired now. He's super high MMR player, 8k MMR. So was there kind of like a chip on the shoulder where even though you don't have anything left to prove, you have to prove that you can beat Charles and Deppy? Was that in your mind at all, or you didn't think about it?
Yeah, I was a little bit there, especially with Charles. I mean, Deppy, I didn't really care because like my team in C, we used to like own his team and stuff. But Charles' team used to own us a lot. We learned a lot from Charles' team for sure in Aura. And like Charles obviously had way higher MMR than me, and him and I were always tied for SA tournaments. Like since last year, it was 3 all, and like someone had to take the lead, right? So going to this final, it was like, you know, who's gonna get the 4th, and I'm glad I got the 4th because Charles always used to like. He always used to meme us at WRG, like, yeah, I beat you guys in BVD in 2015, you know, and I was like, oh, you know, who cares, you know, whatever. But yeah, because I beat him in 2014 in the semifinals, and then he beat me in the finals in 2015. We won together in 2016, won together in 2017. 2018, I went to see, he lost against Sun 5. I was like, Lul Shaw. And then 2019, he didn't play. And then, 2020, he played, but we won. So super glad.
All right, I knew you would be one of the players who'd have that in the back of your mind. Like, there's a point to prove in a good way. Like, I think you have to have that competitive spirit. I
Yeah,
mean, that 2016 Masters where they lost to Sin 5. I don't know if it was 2016, 2018. Sorry, that was the year.
2018.
And yeah, it was hilarious. I mean, that Lead Pro team way outmatched that Sin 5 team, but they drafted so bad. Like, they should have never have lost it, but they did lose it, and I was pretty happy because they kicked the TKC and Chelsea, who were in that team, which beat Sin 5 earlier that year. So it was like icing on top of the cake that year for that shit.
That team was like a superstar weird team. Like there was Ryan, who like my old captain Chidari, which I really regard like as like really highly. His skill and his mind is amazing with Dota. And Deppy was playing pretty well back then. But I think he still had this idea in his head, Deppy, and maybe he still does, where like he thinks he's the best and like no one could prove him wrong and stuff like that. And apparently they used to fight a lot, like Deppy and Chad, and I could see it in the finals. I was watching it while I was in India. I was playing for the first time I was playing for Entity, and I was watching this finals, and I was like, it's 1-1. Okay, there's an Alchemist. He got pretty owned in lane by this SF. And Deppy's playing SF and he's owning, and then all of a sudden they lose like 3 fights in a row and they just lose the game. I'm like, okay, well, that's it. Shawl and Ryan are just losing. Okay.
And it was so
And Ryan was like,
because yeah, they were, because again the whole year they literally were they literally never even dropped like a match in like the other tournaments leading up to that. They were like so cocky, they were messing around, like Chidawi was playing pos 4 and shit. And then that final came, and like that's one that like that arrogance, like it just backfired so hard, because like they let through Dora and Dai Enigma. I mean, Alchemist in that patch was literally, I mean, like that match they were winning so far up. Deppy died once a Shadow Fiend against Alchemist, and that game is done. You can't come back against Alchemist in that patch. So it was like so many things where it's like it's the basics, but they didn't take it into account because they're like, they're gonna win, right? And then it came back. So
so dangerous. That mindset's like so dangerous. Like I preach against it every time we like think a game is won or something in EU or in SA, because like and it happens in your pubs, but I mean it happens in officials or in scrums where, you know, I think it's mostly the supports or like one of the cores when they're not doing much to win. And like let's say your mid's popping off or whatever, and then like your carry starts thinking, ugh, well, the game is basically over. Like my mid's just killing everyone. Like I can just buy whatever items. All of a sudden he doesn't buy BKB or something stupid, and then he dies in like an important fight. And then you're like, oh flip, I wish I went BKB or something. Yeah. Like it happens a lot, especially in pubs. But I've noticed it in tournaments, and even the top tier of like Dota still does it. Like players do it, and yeah, that game specifically, it was 20k gold ahead against Alchemist in that patch. I was like, this game's won surely, and then, you know, PKP gets low on SF, loses a few fights, GG, like completely out, no buyback. Yeah, and like I think the biggest problem that I faced in SA Dota is like target prioritization. People like just didn't talk about this like ever. People just go on the first person they see. And I'm not trying to call out anyone, but the Kunkka game against Energy, like Addison just dooms me every fight. I get doomed, I get gripped, I get coiled. Like, I'm not the target, guys. Like, right. Sure, you're stopping me from voting, but my lifesteal is just killing everyone, like every fight. Like, and that's just like, I was so surprised. Like, was Charles not saying these things? Because he was always pretty good about like that target prioritization. But it's something that just most teams just don't do. I don't even think they think about. Like, and it's embarrassing because like there's no ways you can play against decent opponents and not like have target priority. But yeah, I don't want to like hate on people or anything. People come at me on Twitter with pitchforks and stuff. But yeah, it's just weird to see.
No, I think they thinking at the time was, I don't remember exactly what the conversation was with my brother, because we will talk about the games and stuff afterwards, but I think the reason they were trying to doom you, so it wasn't a case of they didn't, but it was like you were playing Kunkka and every time they didn't, you always got the boat off and then they couldn't kill anybody, so they were trying to like kill you first. But I think that game, I don't know, I think you guys heavily outdrafted them. They had damage problems, but I think like you say, they could have targeted other people, maybe went for the supports first, ignored the Kunkka. So I don't know, but
exactly.
I think that the point you bring up here about like something like target prioritization, I remember when Frank came back from Filthy Frank from C the first time, it was something he was talking about when he was trying to like coach the WRG team before he joined it that same 2018 year, and he was like trying to tell Darren them like, do target prioritization, have hero pairings, all the stuff, and like, okay, obviously Darren is like super washed, no flame, it's just facts. And he was
this
like,
is an open podcast.
This is an open podcast. He was just like, no, this is too complicated. It's too high level. And like, obviously Mark coming from a different background, playing like top 100 player in C and shit. But I think for me, what was also surprising, why I also regard Charles as like so highly in not just Dota SA, but like in esports in general. I think when I watched like him, even that 2018 year, they fucked it up and things, but he's like one of the few people who could properly captain in SA. Like he can literally call out everything. And when Mark came back from Europe the second time when they beat Sin 5 in the WESG last year in June, the difference that tournament and the next tournaments where they fucking lost, okay, not Masters because they were idiots and they kicked TKC and stuff, but in the DGC is that Mark literally, because he had so much experience playing in teams and stuff, that he literally every single thing that happened in the game was his core. He had that vision in his head. He told the team what to do, right? And then next tournament, because they won, he was lax. He stopped making all the calls. So despite obviously he was hard carrying the team. Like no debate there. But like it was like him playing well wasn't good enough. He actually had to do everything for that team to be able to win. It's like it's insane how big a difference the thinking about Dota can make. And I think maybe you've had that experience now as well, coming back from India, being a captain there. Your experience now with Sin 5 and stuff. So maybe you can add on this as well.
Yeah, big time. Like I learned a lot captaining the second entity team, because while I was in Aura, the team after the first entity and before the second one, obviously, I met a really cool guy who you will currently see on the ESL1 panel. His name's Darcy Godot. He was my captain in the Aura team. Okay. And he does the panel work with QO and the other Australian guy on the ESL panel. But anyway, he taught me a lot about like how to view certain aspects of Dota, like damage and stuff like that. Things that like we in SA just never even thought of. Like, but he was like a top 10 player on C and stuff, and he taught me a lot about that, like how to view pairings and like you said, those sort of things. And when I went to go to Entity, didn't have a captain. I just took up the reins. I really like saw like this is how the game needs to be played. This is how objectives are taken. This is how this is what a tower means. Tower is not just vision. It's not just this damage every second. It's like an area to keep you safe. You have like a gem around it, basically of vision. You can TP to it, stuff like that. And all of a sudden you start to see everything like chess. It really does become like chess. Everything's just pieces. Like a POS 4 has like super strong value in the first like 10 minutes, for example, and then it'll fall off a bit. Like the spells are bad against BKB, but then BKB is bad because like it's the duration gets decreased and stuff. And like it's crazy how like everything goes back and forth in Dota. And captaining like really opened my eyes up to this. So when I came to South Africa again and I played at Goliath Gaming with Deppy, we were both like just straight off the sea buzz, and we were like all these new things were in our mind, and playing against SA teams we would just like completely outplay them on the map. Like I think we beat Sin 5 in that grand finals purely not because we were a good team, not because we had amazing players. I mean, RDK was playing offlane, no offense to RDK, and this is not me getting back at him for the Twitter banter. I'm just being genuinely I'm being honest. Like he's just not an offlane player, right? I mean, and like we had these problems, but Deppy just AFK farms. We make him as area of the map. I just play some space making hero, and it was just that was enough to beat the second best team in SA at the time, Sin 5, right? And it just shows you like it's not just mechanics. Like you don't have to try and outkill the guy, like kill the guy like 100 times in lane or click the right spells and fights. It's also just about like moving around the map. Like now, recently, in the current Sin 5 team, we've lost open qualifiers and stuff against like no bounty hunter when we were 20k gold ahead because they just outplay us on the map. They would just split push. We couldn't catch them and stuff like this. And like you watch the replay, you're like, wow, we're so trash. Like why can't we just catch them? Why can't we just kill them once? But their understanding of the game is so much higher, and obviously that's the only way to learn. If you get outplayed like that, and you can watch the replay and you can learn.
For sure. Okay, now I'm going to take a weird route to get to this question, but get to the question. So, okay, here's why I think, and this is going to be a bit spicy, but this is why I think Charles is not just the GOAT in Dota. I think he's the GOAT in esports in SA, right? Even though Sonic and them went overseas, they did that kind of shit. And this is why I have a level of respect beyond just Charles, like to you, to Deppy, to all of you guys who went on your own to try and make it, is because Charles went by, again, not himself, but like all of you guys went as individuals, not as a team and org or anything like that. You guys went by yourselves to try and make it. And as an individual, he got top 10 in C, which is a very competitive region in Dota, and Dota is like one of the most competitive games at the top echelons. He did things in qualifying in the, obviously try qualify for TI. He had team accomplishments, personal accomplishments, and again, like we spoke about the captain aspect, he's not just a good player, but he can captain, he can play multiple roles. There's so many other things he can do that I don't think like other esports that is even part of it, and that people can actually do. It's like if Sonic and JT were the same player who is in-game leader and a good player, then it would have been like, I think I would obviously rate them a bit higher with their accomplishments, but even though Shah has less accomplishments, I think he's a GOAT player because of what he's done. And the reason I'm taking this odd route to ask you this question is like, I think he's the GOAT player, right? Despite your SA accomplishments. But I think the difference is Shah's kind of retired now, but your story is like you're still trying to make it as a pro and stuff, because obviously Sin 5 is very serious. You guys are trying to be overseas and stuff, but like I want to know from you, what's the plan for Castaway going forward? Because obviously you're coming off a big tournament win now, you're playing pretty hot. And it makes me sad to think that Charles, Frank, all these guys are kind of like quitting and not trying to be pros anymore. But like, there's still this beacon. Is there still that beacon of light left with Travis?
Yeah. To be honest, I mean, I don't want to be negative, but I mean, I've also thought about it as well. Like, I'm 22 now. I've committed my life, to basically Dota. I haven't done any studies or anything. I've put off a lot of things in my life because of Dota. And there's been a lot of great things that's come out of it, but stability is not one of them. And that's unfortunately esports right now, especially Dota. Like tier 2 Dota is just not that stable. Fortunately for Valve leagues and stuff, which is it's some stability and it's some money and stuff like that. But once again, you have to be playing well. You have to be winning these things. You have to be qualifying for them. It's still the same sort of story. Of course, God willing, when we go to Europe, it'll be a lot easier, a lot better playing on the low ping. But yeah, what's next for me? Definitely sorting out my visa stuff so I can go to EU with my team, Sin 5, and then we're gonna smash EU. We're gonna smash the tier 2 scene, work our way into tier 1 scene, win those leagues, and yeah, be the shining light for SA Dota, I guess, and work on my stream as well, because that's one thing I've completely neglected my entire career, is like actually having a proper functioning stream where people can watch my pub games, talk to me, I can communicate with fans and stuff like that. People can reach out to me and build a community, because that's one way to get stability. Yes. And PPD spoke about it about like I think 6 to 12 months ago. I saw on Twitter he was saying like the importance of streaming for like these tier 2 and tier 3 Dota players. Like it's very important because it's way more stable, no offense, than Valve and tournaments and stuff like that. Because if you're not playing for a big org, you're not getting a salary, you're not getting a decent salary where you can live off. But hey, maybe if you have 400, 500 people watching your stream, donating, stuff like that, you can maybe get some sponsors. All of a sudden, you can get some sort of payment for your time, because I mean, you're putting a lot of time into this. It's not easy to be a top 500 player or to be like a top 200, top 100 player in Europe or like another competitive region. And it's like a good 10 hours a day of grinding. But unfortunately, you get no money from playing ranked. So yeah, I'm just looking for a bit more stability in my life. And fortunately, Sin 5 has allowed me to continue with my dream. But I was definitely during lockdown thinking a lot about this whole Travis, what are you doing with your life type thing. My mom's been begging me to go study. She's like, okay, cool, the Dota's been fun and stuff, but please go study. She owns a law firm and stuff, so she's like classic human, I guess. Like study and go work but yeah, I would love to live the esports dream, but I also need to be realistic. I mean, I'm 22, I'm not this super young kid anymore, and I'm certainly not as naive as before I went to sea. Like before I went to sea, I just had these golden stars in my eyes, and I really woke up when I was in sea. But there is some hope for sure. Let's just hope Dota doesn't die before I can get to TI.
Yeah. Oh man, the Dota dead game. I mean, from a serious perspective, I mean, I completely get you. I mean, we're the same age. I understand all those things that you're going through. Obviously, again, Castaway's in a much higher echelon than me. This guy, he's really done good shit in his career. Follow this guy on Twitter. Support him because he's gonna do the dream. I fucking believe. But it is super rough. I mean, we'll get more to the more hectic parts of it. But like just the turmoil of like again, you guys had to go alone to try and make it. I mean, now you got this team backing you and stuff, so it's a bit easier on that route. So on the content side, like I thought about this a lot with Dota, and it's a constant issue. But I think there's a precedent set in the scene with TI having such a big amount of prize money that nobody wants to do anything else because it's just eye on the TI prize. We need to get better. We need to get good, because you just place well at TI once, not even like you place top 8 or just be there. You get so much prize money. You set for life. You're a fucking millionaire then. So we have this kind of bad culture in Dota that nobody really wants to do this. When like Overwatch, League of Legends, I mean, fucking Faker streams in League of Legends. I mean, that's insane. This guy is like 3-time champion. I mean, RTZ streams maybe once every year.
Yeah, like 3 months. Yeah,
for sure. But I think again, I will say this again. I'm gonna be nice. I think you have a good personality to stream. I don't think you're as funny as 16-year-old Travis, but you have a lot more to offer than 16-year-old Travis. You know, you've got a good personality for this stuff, and I hope people watching this podcast will go to his stream because you can see this guy. He's a cool guy. He knows a lot about Dota, and he's out here, man. Fucking follow Travis Castaway.
Yeah. Come watch my streams. I play with pros. I make pros rage at me or in general.
Dude,
But yeah, I think yeah, you hit the nail on the head with that whole there's a precedent. Like I've always thought like, oh no, I don't need to stream because I just need to get better. And then if I join a big team, I will have a nice salary. Don't have to worry about streaming, you know, like lust for that. Like sure, I can even make more money from streaming technically. But I was like, oh, it's gonna take like time and effort and stuff like that. And now I wish, like, when I was overseas, I just streamed. Like, why not? Like, Ivo, the owner of, or Evo, sorry, the owner of Sinister 5 was like, come on, guys, you play ranked anyways, you know, why not just stream your ranked games? And it was a real light bulb moment because I was like, yeah, like it just makes so much sense. Why not just stream? But obviously, I was waiting for fiber, to be honest. Thanks, South Africa. But now I got fiber, I can actually stream. So.
No, it's awesome. I encourage you to keep it going. Now, so TKC was the opposite, and he was playing like trying to be a pro Dota player. He's also washed up, retired now. I didn't ever tell him to stream because he's not like a talkative guy. He's a very quiet guy and stuff. But nowadays he fucks around. He plays games with his friends Among Us and shit on Discord. I was like, now you should start streaming because now you have good content to put out.
Yeah.
No, but to shift gears now a bit, so I want to get back to obviously the journey going there, but I want to ask more about the Dota here because the Dota is super interesting. So now you've played in two regions, right? Obviously in the tier 2-ish scene now with Sin 5 playing Europe because obviously teammates were there and stuff, and obviously even from home we have to play Europe here in South Africa. But you did play in C for a super long time, so I've heard a lot of things about the different regions. So can you give like example between the differences between C and Europe, like pros and cons both sides?
Okay. Okay. So I'll start off with C. C was a absolute interesting place. I'll say that. The people in C, I don't know if it's a pro or con, but I'll just leave it as a baseline, like a statement. They're very immature compared to Europe, like completely, like very childish, want to have fun, like funny memes and like if we throw haha XD, like who cares, like not that like serious, like compared to EU. Even like when I was top 100, like the games are like more jokey than not. And apparently, I would say the race to blame is definitely the Philippines. Like a lot of the Filipino players don't want to play in Filipino stacks because they sometimes it's not serious. And like they're high MMR and they have good mechanical skills. Like everyone has like, let's say, the same mechanical skills as EU, maybe a little bit weaker sometimes, but like generally the higher ranked players are very good. But the understanding of the game, like the flow of the game from like the carry position is just like completely wrong. Like they just didn't understand like how to move on the map, like where to play on the map. In C, it was just fight. And they would be like, go sword, go fight. And I'm like, why are we fighting? Why are we smoking? Like why are we putting wards here? But they just like no, they like will flame you and they're like, no, you stupid, just go smoke, that's that sort of thing. Europe, it's a lot more like, okay, we're gonna go place vision here, like Puppy taught me this, we're gonna do that, blah blah blah, and it's way more like constructive. But then I'd say a big negative in EU is the Russians. Like they're great, high skill, talkative, funny if you're winning, but oof, game's going bad, they can like really like it's really bad. Like it makes you not want to play ranked the rest of the day. Like yeah, it can be bad. But I mean the same happened in C. I would say there's similar regions. I would just say EU is higher skilled, like definitely. Like not just the mechanics, like maybe mechanics are pretty even, but the understanding of the game, the flow of the game and stuff like that, definitely better than EU. Better in EU, sorry.
That seems pretty consistent to what I've heard from other pro players and stuff. Is like, see, everybody has the talent there, but nobody's like serious about the ranking. People are just like you say, ready to divide. Everybody's having a good time. Like everyone read a Reddit post where like, the reason the person likes playing ranked in C more is that even though like nobody, like in Europe, like you say, you can get a Russian player, have one bad laning phase, the courier gets sniped or something, man's ready to walk down mid, chain feed, all of that. I think that like kind of mentality in Europe maybe not isn't. Did you find also it's not as common in C?
Oh no. So, yeah, the super tilting was very rare in C until that idiot Eternal Envy came to C and he played for Fnatic. And he was streaming and he used to walk down mid, and then everyone started walking down mid, and there was a guy that became famous for walking down mid and destroying his items. His name was Dogbrain. I mean, I'm not memeing. His name is Dogbrain. You can. I think he's on Wikipedia. He's a pretty good player. He's a good carry player, but he would literally die twice. Like I used to pick on dying, and I used to just go run in his lane, just decay him, soul rope, but he dies. He buys back, TP's in, decay, soul rope, dead, abandon, go next. And free MMR. Like that's the sort of players you have. But yeah, it's Eternal Envy destroyed C in my opinion, because my games were like a try hard. We used to be like mega creeped, and people were trying to win. EU, it's like tier 2 tower gets lost for 10 minutes. Guys, I think we can go next. Like, yeah, but like in C, it was really try hard. It was really nice, and like they all liked K-pop, so it was great. It was like I used to meme with them, I used to chat with them, and it was all fantastic. But yeah, EU, it seems better now that I'm learning Russian. I get to like joke with my Russian brethren and make memes with them and stuff. Be like "Хорош" and "Давай" and "Пожалуйста" and say all these things, and they like kind of respect you a little bit more, or they laugh and it's a meme, so it's fine. Because my pronunciation is probably trash. But, yeah.
That's really cool. I love to hear the differences in mentality, because I mean for me, every game of EU ranked is like an experience, right? You don't know what you're gonna get, or just ranked Dota. So I would love to play it if we could play different regions here with the ping in South Africa. I would definitely play C, because it just sounds hilarious to me. Obviously, I'm not serious about Dota and stuff, so I don't care if the players are bad or we throw games and shit. But yeah, it is pretty like always interesting to point out the differences between the regions and stuff. Okay, so now can I ask you differences back to a more local topic, a more relevant topic? You playing in
Sure.
obviously Goliath Gaming you played in last year. It was a short stint and things. You guys just came there, formed the mega team, smashed tournaments, and then you were like bye bye. Got other things to do. But now in Sin 5, you guys have been like a genuine team, and I think credit to Sin 5 as an organization. They've always prioritized having longevity, sticking by their players, trying to build something instead of just chopping and changing like the rest of the fucking SA scene. So credit to y'all, Sin 5, for that. But now you have also been part of this team now for a long time. So is there any like interesting things you have to say about any of your teammates? Obviously, Shrinks you played with in the past, but like Aghanim, Dora and Dai, Doom Bunny, these like new people you play with. You have anything good or bad to say about them? Not too bad, obviously. They're still your teammates, but memes?
Yeah. So I would say I haven't told them this yet. So if they watch the podcast, they'll probably learn about it. But I haven't told anyone this. But last year coming into the VS Gaming with Goliath Gaming, I was like super confident, because I no offense to Sin 5, I've always beaten them, never lost them, and I'm fresh from C, and I had Depi fresh from C. We were both like super or whatever. I was like, yeah, we can't lose to these guys, and it felt like really easy in the finals and stuff, even though it was 2-1. And then and then when I joined the team, I was like a little bit nervous. I was like, I don't really regard these people very highly, like Dennis, so Jotundai, Aghanim, and Caleb, because like I've never lost to them. I'd always beaten them, and they were never super high MMR or anything. So I wouldn't say I looked down on them. I wasn't hopeful in some regards. I was thinking like maybe like they need to improve first, like for a few months.
Maybe
then I'll be like more.
It's a way to say they hadn't earned your respect yet in a way, right?
Yeah, I guess like cliche way, I have no my respect. But then like after a few months, especially when they went to Europe and Dennis just started climbing, and I really saw the type of player that Dennis was and the type of human he was and how he grinded and how he views Dota and stuff like this, and how he's so serious and he's willing to draft and he's willing to do this, willing to change. Like and also same as Caleb. Caleb like really started taking criticism while he also started climbing and he got 7K and stuff like this. Even though it's 2020, but like things started happening for the better. And Tristan as well, and then everyone just started improving like 10 times. We got a coach, and everything just started getting better. So yeah, I think that's the bad stuff was there. But then I think one more bad thing. I think more people know this though, is Caleb and I, we've had quite a few butting of heads in the past, especially in scrims. I've flamed him quite a bit, and he's like not really flamed me, but he's gotten angry at me before. For multiple things.
Travis is my fucking hero, dude. You were such a fucking. You were full of nonsense when you were a lad coming up, honestly. But I loved it. You loved to see it.
Yeah, but I mean, it was back then. Back then was like I was just super confident, and like I just thought everyone was trash,
Right.
Like even though I wasn't winning, I just thought everyone was bad. Like it was weird, and it gave me so much power. And I spoke to Scant about it like years ago, and that's the only good advice I ever got from him was he was like use it as a weapon, like really use it as a weapon. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try. And yeah, it worked. 'Cause people got like tilted at me, they didn't like me as a person, like me as a player, and I was beating them. So that's like the best way to beat people. You beat them like in the game and outside the game. which is what I lacked in C. I think if I had that confidence in C and I didn't rage so much and I didn't get angry at my Filipino brethren, I would have done a lot better in ranked. Like I got so angry, I tilted so much. I used to get like 7.8k, go all the way back down to 7.2, climb all the way up to 7.8k. Like my team would joke. Like I used to go from white medal to red medal, white medal to red medal, white, and go on these fat win streaks, fat loss streaks. So I used to get so angry. I used to really let it get to me. Which obviously I just had to mature. I mean, I was only like a 20-year-old kid trying to make it in C and stuff. But sorry, I pulled us away there. But back to the team. Other than that, everything's been good though. Like everyone's improved, and the management's great at Sin5. They're really like together, really hands-on. I've really enjoyed being a part of this team. It's a really good org, and I'm sure we're bound for success. I believe it. Like as long as we carry on, and we keep grinding.
Yes, I hope so. And it's nice to hear you say also in a way, because I think like even though maybe the first part what you were saying like before it wasn't like didn't sound like nice, but I think it's actually a massive compliment, because again like I think Dota and Dai, Doom Bunny, Aghanim, like a lot of these guys they didn't get a level of respect, because it was like even when they won Masters and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, Lead Pro is the better team. There's always these few players in SA always get hyped up, the Deppies, the Charles, etc. Like there's always these guys who get spoken about. I mean, I think I wrote the article, I complimented Dennis Pause 5 play, and like people were memeing me in my stream chat and stuff. I was like, they always like were disrespected in a way, but like you say, once they got to Europe, right? Even me, whether I like it or like, obviously I like all the guys, they're super nice. Caleb can be a bit sus sometimes, but he's a good dude at the end of the day. Like they grinded so hard. I mean, Dota and Dai hit 7k. Obviously it's not what it used to be back then, but still it's a super, like it's a big deal for SA play. Not that many players have done it. And like you say, you guys are playing good Dota now. Like, I mean, I gonna play Deppy Strat in the finals. He was playing the super hard farming thing better than Deppy, so it's
I was actually
nice,
surprised
obviously.
Deppy didn't buy Battle Fury on Troll. Like that's he always used to buy Battle Fury on Troll. Like every time he's bought Sanjay Yasha, he's just flopped. And I think that's the hero though. Like you lose 2 fights, you just like can't farm anywhere.
Yeah.
But I remember at WSG against Keen on stage with the Lead Pro team when I was subbing for them with WSG, and Deppy bought Sanjay Yasha, and you just farmed for 20 minutes with Sanjay Yasha. I was cringing. I was like, Deppy, just buy Battle Fury if you want to farm. Just like it's fine. Like we won't flame you. Just buy Battle Fury. I think he had like 1 item in 20 minutes because he had just Sanjay Yasha. I never spoke to him about it because I've always forgotten. But Deppy, if you want to, please buy Battle Fury and Troll, dude, if you're gonna farm.
No, I mean, Tro is a weird hero, right? Obviously, I'm a pleb, but it's like one of those heroes where, like, if you hit your timings and stuff in a certain way, like, the game can just be like that. There's almost nothing you can do if you get to that, like, Battle Fury, SNY, Satanic, and then, like, BKB or, like, Abyssal or some shit in, like, ahead of your other carry. There's, like, nothing anybody can do. That hero, you can't kite him, you can't do anything. He takes objectives fast. So, yeah. So when you go Sanjay Yasha first, yeah, sure, you can fight earlier and stuff. There's always that risk, right? Because you have to be there for your team, but then obviously you can't farm in the same way. It's always the trade-off with Battle Fury. But I think Troll's a good Battle Fury hero, not like Void and shit. That's garbage Battle Fury heroes, but Troll's a good one.
Exactly, yeah. I hate Void Battle Fury. I know there was a time where Battle Fury Ags became popular, and it's super cool. Like, yeah, I can time walk into a creep camp and it all dies. But the thing is, it's like like close to 10,000 gold, 9,500 gold just to have 2 farming items. Like, come on. Like, sure, this bash is nice in team fights, but I mean, just buy mom MKB and kill people. Like, it's fine. But yeah, I just want a small segment. I actually want to talk about it earlier when you're talking about SA teams, and I guess we're kind of on the topic of teams that I've played for. But that Lead Pro team where I subbed for, I think it was 40 Frank on 4, Ryan Chidawi on 5, Deppy on 1, me on 2, Charl on 3. That team, in my opinion, was the superstar SA team. That team, if we went overseas with that team, I think we would have done damage back then, like in 2019.
Yes.
Because everyone was on form. Like Deppy did 8k, I was close to 8k. Thingy was 8k. Charl was going to 9k soon. Ryan was like also wanting to go to C. Like everyone was super motivated, super willing. If we had a sponsor or something to send us overseas, we would have done so well. I mean, we were all playing for different teams in SCA at the time. And we went to that WSG and we drew with Namiga. Like we drew 1-1 with them. We could have easily got 2-0 then. We should have won game 2. We lost. We played against Gorilla Pride that had 3 9k players. We went 1-1. We won game 1, lost game 2. we had such good games. I think we went 1-1 with another team as well.
Yeah.
Like and we unfortunately we had no practice. We hadn't practiced at all because we had other commitments. I had ESL Indonesia coming up. Charles was playing in his tournaments. Depi was playing in his tournaments. So like imagine if we just had to actually boot camp even for that event, and like 2 or 3 weeks or like a month, we would have destroyed. And like we played against actual teams, like not stacks. We played against teams like the Amiga Fishman that's now playing for B8. We beat him, stuff like that. And I think that was like if Bravado, what happened with Bravado CS had to happen to a Dota team in South Africa. If I had to go back in time, I'd pick that team because that team we looked so good. We all got along. We were all friends. And I'm not trying to diss the Sin 5 team now, but just like in my memory, like that was the one team where I played for, which I felt like, whoa. We actually like we can play Dota. We can play it like these guys do. It's not like we're going to see going to WSG like the previous years, and we just don't know what's clapping. Like we went to WSG and we get like 2-0'd by this team and 2-0'd by that team, and we're like, whoa, this is how Dota's played. We didn't know, When we went there, and we were like, we know everything, like not everything, but we know how the game's played. It's not like we're playing checkers, they're playing chess. We're playing the same game. It was just unfortunate that we had different teams and different commitments and stuff like that.
I'm so glad you took this route because that was going to be my very next fucking statement or question ever, because at the time, right, you remember that whole drama came when Frank was like in his interview, he's like, no, we never got time to practice or anything, and then the SA community wanted to have a big reaction. Well, fuck you guys for that shit, because the reason they didn't bootcamp, as Travis said, they were all trying to make it as pro Dota players. These motherfuckers are playing, okay, minus Chidawi, 10 hours a day, every fucking day, and they undisputedly are the best Dota players ever in South Africa. Like, by far. There's nobody who comes close. I think for me, if that team, no disrespect to Chidawi, I like you as a person, you're a cool person, I like you more than the person I'm going to mention. But I think if Donnie was there as offlane and you guys played that 5, I think genuinely 5 GOAT SA players, that team, if it was supported, you guys could have done amazing fucking things. But everybody already in South Africa given up on Dota. There was no ATK wanting to throw money or BBD wanting to send this team here or there. And plus in Dota you can go to C, like you say, so cost is lower. I fucking wish, it is my dream that team could have been a thing, because wow, it could have been so great. But then at the end of the day, I mean, I'm going to tie this back to the Sin 5 guys a little bit. Doesn't matter who has the most talent or this thing or that thing. It's about who's here at the end of the day still willing to do it, right? So yeah, I don't know. I really agree with your statement. That team was so fucking good, man. And that WESG was the best we've ever had for Dota. Like nobody else came close to the amount of victories and stuff.
I think that's, I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm pretty sure that's the best any SA team's ever done at WSG, like across any game. Like, no offense to CSGO, but I don't think they only got through the group once because they didn't have someone in the group. Someone didn't show up. And then they won one series, drew the other one, and they went through as second place. But like, and I'm not trying to like diss Sonic and them, JT and them. I'm close friends with them as well. But that team did like damage, and we didn't even practice because we all played for other teams. Like, I couldn't take time off. I remember I asked my boss, Chris in Aura. I was like, hey, can I bootcamp for this event? I'm like, sorry, man. You're playing for us. Like, we have scrims, we have qualifiers, we have like stuff to play for. And Charles said the same thing. Depi said the same thing. Like, no one's gonna just let their players, like, for this SA stack, for this other tournament, you're not even representing the team you contracted for. Like, they're not gonna let you boot camp. So yeah, Barry got like really upset. And that, Barry, if you're watching, that is the honest reason why we didn't try and like not practice, like because we were lazy. It was the exact opposite. We were trying to make it. Unfortunately, we didn't have a nice team route to take. We didn't have a sponsor to take us overseas as 5. We had to go individually.
Greatest PC team gaming opportunity in South African esports is missed opportunities right there. Those were y'all were the people who needed to be supported. But no shade to what's happening now. Sin 5, the dream ain't dead again. Y'all are doing great things there. So the rest of Sin 5 guys watching, no shade to you guys. Y'all are out here. Yeah, that was. I'm glad you brought this up. It like fuel for my soul, It was such an important thing.
I've wanted to talk about this for so long because like so many people like asked me questions about it. They were like, "Yo, you guys did so well at this event." Even Nick was one of the guys, Schlinks, that really defended us on Twitter. He was like, "That's the best any team's ever done at WSG," and I was like, "Yeah, it's true though." Like, and being in the games myself, it wasn't like we just got dumpstered and we couldn't play. Even against Keen, like one of our games went like 45 minutes and stuff. Yeah, like Keen, like they yeah, like I couldn't believe it. And like, imagine if we had like a boot camp in C for 6 months. I'm pretty sure we would have qualified for events, like 90% sure, 95% sure. Because like we had like Shaw and offlane. Maybe if Donnie, I don't know if Donnie would have worked in the team, to be honest. Because Donnie and Shaw and Depi sounds like a terrible concoction.
Yeah, no, that sounds
But
toxic as fuck.
Ryan's definitely needed there to balance things out.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
Ryan, yeah.
And plus,
And
you
also
guys
we
picking
did,
up the draft, right? Oh, sorry, I cut you off there. Go.
yeah. Sorry, I was going to talk about drafting. Like, we didn't even have a drafter for the event. Like, sometimes Frank was drafting, sometimes Ryan was drafting. Like, it was a nightmare. Like, Frank didn't even want to draft. Ryan should have just drafted. Ryan also didn't play Dota for like 2 months before that because he was trying to go to C and stuff. Like, it was a disaster, and we did that well. Like, we honestly did that well, with having no practice and players playing for other teams and stuff. Imagine if we had a proper like boot camp setup. But anyway, I'm so grateful for Sin5 for giving us this opportunity to live our dreams and to carry the SA Dota flag high in Europe.
For sure. Okay, I'm gonna ask you other questions now, but I just want to throw some shade here. I don't have my sunglasses to put on, but this is an issue with South African scene straight up. That whole situation there is that I think people here are so fixated on like narrative and putting this and like saying the right things and doing the right things that they actually forget what the fuck is important in the scene. And actually going and doing the work is what you guys did. Have the skill, do the work, trying your best. Like again, that's what I say. Like, y'all always have my maximum respect because you literally went by yourselves to try and make it in C. But in SA, what do people see? Oh, one quote in a Wikipedia article. You know, Frank could have talked about this tournament organizer or this sponsor or this thing. He could have done so much for the scene. Fuck that, man. Nobody here owes you the scene anything. They had to do it themselves. There was nobody going to support them, putting them forward and shit. And I don't want to hear anything that's like, oh no, but this company hosted tournaments to make these players come up and stuff. That's your fucking company's job. Like, no. That whole thing was disgusting. Learn, industry, learn. That was my position at the time. It's a bit stronger now, obviously, but yeah, that is what it is. So now, let's move away from the rest of these things because I'll just rage about SA esports the whole day. But
Raging podcast.
Let's talk about some serious shit, right? So, obviously, you guys beat Energy now in this DGC tournament. Obviously, we're looping back here, right? But throughout the year, they were like almost like I won't say kryptonite because you never not beat them, but it was like a very one-sided matchup. They had you guys' number every single time. There was mid matchups where it's like you think, okay, Castaway playing against Adam's time, he's going to smash him, but Adam's playstyle was countering you. He was winning a lot of lanes and things. It was super rough. So maybe you want to talk from the team angle and maybe a personal angle. What was going on in those portions of time?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it clearly because it's burned in my memory, and I made sure it will never happen again. But especially the Adestam stuff, like earlier this year, when we first played it, like the first ever time, like our new roster played against the new roster, it was a BO2 for DGL, like classic, like summer leg or whatever it's called, and we got 2-0'd like really badly, like really, really, really badly. After we've been practicing and we've been doing well, like we'd honestly been playing some decent Dota. And for me personally, then I was just struggling with confidence and struggling with like my idea of the game and like what not to sound cliche, but like what does Castaway bring to the table in these Dota games? Like, what do I do? Am I a mid laner who wins the lane and snowballs? Do I cheese pick? Do I, what do I do? Am I that sacrificial guy that makes space? Like, I just didn't have an identity. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was just clicking buttons, and I wasn't even like thinking about matchups. I wasn't doing anything. The stuff not close to the stuff that I was doing now, like this past event. And the team was a bit lost, and we had so many issues. Like back then, I'm not trying to throw shade. It's just the honest truth. We had lots of problems mechanically. Like Aghanim's farming was really bad, especially back then. It was one of the biggest things that Aghanim tackled with the coach. He's improved like probably 300%. Like I can't believe like his farms really fast, even out farms DP and stuff. And we had issues with our offlane because we were swapping between Nick 4 and then Caleb 4, then Nick 4, and then Dennis was sometimes losing lanes and stuff like that. So we had a lot of mechanical issues, I would think, before even getting to like the macro stuff, like where to move around the map, where to play, stuff like that, like how we tank ganks and stuff. And then we came to this ePulse event, that's African, we had that South African Middle East event combined, where we Energy and us, I think WG as well, qualified, and we all played. We beat Energy 2-1 in the winner bracket final. We throw the semifinals. We throw the winner bracket final super hard against the Egyptian team, 2-1. We lost game 3, like complete choke. Like Tristan and I completely choked. I was Storm and he was Lifestealer. No buybacks. We try to end the game. Troller's buyback. He gets you stomped. He dies. I die. We lose the game. We should have just gone Roche. And then we played Energy in the loser bracket final, and yeah, we just choke again. We've had a very big issue with big match temperaments in this team. I would say, I'm not trying to pinpoint people, but I've spoken with certain players in the team about it, and it's just something that really, it's so hard to teach, and I can't help. I can't help. Texel, the coach, can't help with it. It's something that it feels like it has to develop within the player, you know? Like some people have it naturally. I like to believe I had a bit of it naturally, and I've worked in it a lot. And that's something you just have to work on it. And you have to get these little things. Like I just practice my breathing before going to the lane, for example, and then I would really just calm myself so I could just think about, okay, how do I want to play this lane? And that's how I play the whole game, you know, just constantly thinking about everything. But I think in this grand finals, it was very obvious. And the previous finals, whenever we've played Energy in a very important game, it's been a lot of rash calls, rash decisions, rash things. That's why all of these grand final games look like that. It was, you know, they don't have buybacks, we don't have buybacks, some crazy fight. Whoever wins the game. That's not how, you know, that's not how we've been playing previously. We've been playing so structured, but timing based, so perfect, really. But it's just big match temperament was a huge problem. And I think Caleb he made a joke. He was like, "Yo guys, thanks for carrying me," or whatever. And I was like, "No, don't see it like that. Even though you might have felt like you choked or you didn't play as well as you could have or whatever, we still won it as a team. You know, at the end of the day, I couldn't have done it. I didn't solo carry this event. You know, even though people might say that or whatever, I think I played well and I played as, you know, but I'm supposed to win games. It's my job. You know, it's just, It's nothing more, nothing less. You know, this is what's required of me. I hold a really high standard to myself, and I think everyone does in the team. So I think everyone was a bit upset with they could have played better and stuff like that. But yeah, just working on that in the future is the most important thing, because it's Dota, like any esport really. There's going to be so many important games you have to win. You know, you might be in the lower bracket, you might be in the upper bracket, whatever. But there's going to be important games where the nerves are going to kick in, and you have to be able to, you know, kick those nerves away. I like to visually swallow them. I think about it and I'm like, no, the nerves are just gone. I just take a gulp and I just practice my breathing, and then the nerves are gone. I just have to play this Dota game. Because at the end of the day, I mean, why are you getting nervous? You have to play this game, and it's what you love. They only get nervous when you think about what's at stake. But it's pointless thinking about what's at stake. Just think about what you got to do, because you just have to win the game.
I mean,
but yeah.
There was that whole thing in the TI7 final where Liquid won, where everybody was hyping up Kuro, right? Because that's what he's telling his team. Don't think about this final. We're just playing a game of Dota. Don't think about winning. Don't think about any of that shit. And I really love this avenue you taken, because I think it's so important in esports, and it doesn't get dealt with enough yet, right? This mental aspect, like you're talking about your breathing and stuff. There's a reason in sports. If you Evo listening to this from Sinister 5, if you the players, the Sin 5 players, or any esports players, the reason these sports people have all these things, Rafa Nadal, people call him superstitious and stuff, but he has all these fucking habits he's created over the years to keep his mind calm, to get in the zone to play. And that shit's super important in esports, because Dota is actually even more fine. You slightly off today, you mess up one range creep lasted in the first 2 waves of CS, right? You can lose your whole mid matchup there. So it's so fucking imperative you have your head in the right space. And I think, again, it needs to be worked on. I think there's even people doing university studies now on physical exercise as a gamer and stuff to keep your mind in peak form. I think, again, working on your mentality, your habits and stuff going into games to have that big match temperament, it's so fucking important. I will say on a positive note though, that I think this big win that you guys got now over Energy, you guys fucking rivals for the year, is gonna, I'm sure, will be a confidence boost, because confidence, it does help, right? Like you say, at the start of the year, you don't even know how you want to be as a Dota player, etc. Now you're ready to play. That little change in mindset is a whole different situation. So I like to think maybe you guys will be a bit bigger match temperament going forward. You know, I think it will make a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you touched on a very interesting point, that physical exercise, it is so imperative. Not just for gamers or whatever, for everyone on the planet should be exercising. It's what our bodies are built for. As my brother says, you know, we chimps. We've regressed from nature. You know, we're not like that anymore. We're not swinging from the trees and stuff. So we have all this pent up stuff. And for me, I got diagnosed with anxiety disorder, panic anxiety stress disorder, and now the changes I've made since I've been diagnosed for the last year and a bit. cut out caffeine completely. This was the latest thing I did, like for the last week. I've had no caffeine. I started gymming 4 to 5 times a week, eating healthier, and it's incredible how my Dota has gotten better and better and better from doing this, and just my life. It's like the quality of life changes. It's so much better. You obviously look better, you feel better, stuff like that. That's fantastic as well. But I think that's why everyone was a bit like Mimi when we first announced the Nutritech sponsorship. Everyone was like, "Lol, why do gamers need Nutritech or whatever?" And even though they do have great gamer options like Nuke, the gamer brands, they have like performance booster stuff and mental stuff like that. But even just for like the gym stuff, like the gym nutrition is so important. Like it just feeds your body. Because I'm a firm believer, like you are what you put in your body, you know. And I've also gave up smoking and drinking as well. So I don't smoke cigarettes for the past 6 months. Shout out to Cyril Ramaphosa. That ban on the cigarettes, yeah, really kickstarted everything. I ran out of rolling tobacco, and I was like, well, that's that. I got to give it up now.
Wow.
And
one of the few people I know who actually quit because of the cigarette ban here in South Africa. Usually everybody was just buying back market, but you did it. Props. Sorry to cut you off. Carry on.
No, don't worry. I don't have money to spend on that. Like it's way too expensive. But yeah, and I started like praying a lot more, and really getting in touch with my spiritual side, because I'm a Christian. My belief is Christianity, and yeah, like I just believe that the Lord's really like helped me like center myself, because I think I was all over the place. And C, I was trying to do all of these things, and I didn't live a healthy life in C at all. Like I didn't exercise, I smoked way too much, drank way too much coffee, and stuff like that. And looking back, like I don't know how I lived. Like I don't know how my heart didn't pack up or something like that. It's crazy. But I guess I had so many panic attacks, and my life like really spun out of control. And yeah, I started respecting like mental health and a lot of stuff a lot more. So I'm glad though. I'm really glad where I am now. Like I'm in the best space I think I've been in my whole life. Like really feel like in control of what's going on.
No, that's so nice. Awesome to hear. I mean, I honestly, you give off this presence. Like I can see this level of confidence. This like it's really great. It's really great to see. There was so much you said there that I wanted to respond to. So I think.
Sorry.
So it's great. You're giving phenomenal answers here. You know, sometimes I'm gonna say like when you interview players specifically, this is why I like to interview like industry people and stuff, because you know the reason I'm here talking is because I can't play, so I had to do something like talk. You know, so it's easy to interview people like that. But usually players, you get a lot of people who are like a bit like shy and stuff. But Castaway is not one of them. If you want a fucking guy with personality on your podcast, your written interview, whatever, this is the fucking guy, right? Honestly, from first time till now. But like you say, the things you say is so important in life in general, right? Because like this eating, like this anxiety thing, if you look at now, especially now during this coronavirus time, lockdown, social distancing, all the, like a lot of people mental health are struggling with like anxiety and insomnia, this kind of thing. But like, what do we do about it? Like, I can give myself a good example. Last night I was making a tweet about how I have anxiety, whatever. First thing I do in the morning, I have a cup of coffee. Like, what am I doing? Like, I can't complain if you do this shit. And that's the thing. Like, there's so many things like you need to do. Like, physical activity is so important. This is what our bodies are made to do, to be able to work out, do this kind of things. And again, maybe us people who function in a normal day-to-day life can get away with this kind of thing. But if Castaway or Dennis or RTZ, for example, has a bad night of sleep and his mind's a little slower, again, one CS missed in the mid lane, and that's his game fucking ruined. So it's so imperative for anybody who's trying to do high performance sports, esports, etc., to really look at these health things. Not because you need to be fucking jacked to click your keyboard, but to be a healthy person so you can always be in your best, put your best foot forward when you competing in gaming. I think that's super important. I think the later part of what you said, that is something I spoke to you about before the podcast, that I was like, can I go and touch on these things? Because I look at it from this perspective. When you talk about you having anxiety attacks and stuff, I think for the first, like one part, from my perspective, like this outside perspective, you're going to respond now with something great, I'm sure, is that, I mean, you're leaving your home to go to another country, first time ever. You have these big expectations because every month running through expenses to now play this Dota to try achieve your dream. Dota itself is such a fucking stressful game. Like you say, emotions are always running high. There's so much invested in it. So all these factors built into like how much of that, I mean, the Dota, the leaving home, etc., this trying to achieve your dream has manifested into, like you say, those things, anxiety, etc., the struggles.
I would say basically all of them, but I wouldn't say like the leaving home part. The leaving home part wasn't an anxiety for me, like I'm away from my family. I was just so committed on making it, and my family has supported me a lot, like emotionally and stuff like that. So I was like super comfortable with that. The bigger issues were like the change in food. That was something that I didn't think would affect me as hard. But like when you generally don't enjoy like the accessible or like the food that's around you, it really gets to you. Like I just dreaded eating the what's it called, like the catering that we got in Indonesia. Like I hated it, and I had a batshit crazy ex-girlfriend, like full of red flags that I had to deal with on a daily basis. Which I should have just dumped her long ago. Like she definitely hurt my dad. But anyway, I learned so many lessons in that as well. And yeah, and the fact that I was smoking way too many cigarettes and drinking way too much coffee. Like when I told all of this to my doctor, when I got back, and I was like, I'm having these problems breathing. I can't take a deep breath. And I went in Indonesia. Sorry, before I got diagnosed, I had all these tests done. Like they found out. I told them when my dad died of a heart attack, and they were like, "Whoa, that's the first thing we got to check for." So they checked for that. I was fine. Did a running ECG, resting ECG. They scanned my lungs, scanned my heart, did breathing tests. I was at the doctor for like in total I think 8 or 9 trips in like a month, like 2 weeks. Yeah, and I had issues as well with like some other things, and it was a nightmare. Like for the first time in my life, I had like medical issues for like the first time, and I was like frightened. I was like, wait, life's just a scary thing, and all of this stuff like accumulated, and I didn't have any outlet for any of the stress because I was just playing Dota and I was just drinking coffee, drinking like shitty takeout food, and sleeping, and that's just, and I had to put up with this crazy ex girlfriend of mine, and anyway. I get back to SA and I tell my doctor all of this, and he looks at me and he sees how I'm talking. He's like, "Yeah, I know exactly what you got. You got anxiety, stress, panic disorder. Like I can just see it straight away from everything you told me as well." And yeah, he told me like it'll take my whole life. Each day I have to get like better and better dealing with it. He also gave me some tablets, which really helped, some Urbinol. And yeah, and I really just started like really thinking for the first time like I have to take this stuff seriously. I have to take what I eat seriously. I can't drink 10 cups of coffee a day. Like it never affected me before. When I was a teen, I used to do that and it was no problem. Even when I was in C for the first time, like the first half of C, when I was in Cambodia, just grinding before I joined the team, I was just drinking and like drinking alcohol, even smoking. Everything was fine. Nothing affected me. I was eating good food as well. I enjoyed the food in Cambodia. But yeah, and then all of a sudden, just like a train, I just stopped at the station. Everything just added up, and everything just smashed in. And all of a sudden, like I was struggling to breathe and stuff, like having panic attacks. It was a nightmare. Like finishing a rank game, and I'm like, can't breathe. Rush to the doctor, and like it was a nightmare. And but yeah, once I got diagnosed, I had a better idea of what was going on in my head, and then I could like finally start to take it back. But like my doctor said in the essay, like I should give up smoking, I should give up drinking coffee and stuff. He was like, "You're so stupid, by the way. You can't just wake up in the morning and drink a cup of coffee without eating, especially if you have anxiety. It's like the worst thing you can do because it like there's nothing in your stomach to even absorb this caffeine and stuff like it. It just goes like straight in, and your heart just starts racing." And I thought everyone lived like this. I thought everyone was like normally so like on edge, like wired, like really like script in, but no, that was just me because I drank way too much coffee. So yeah, a lot of things I just learned, and yeah, I'm super glad where I am now, knowledge wise and mentally for sure.
I mean, it's always great to see now on the other side, like you come through this, you're healthy, etc. But I think to yourself and even the people listening to this, like, I mean, we were trying to like hop on the point about health and mental health and your sports rhythms and your habits and stuff before, but it is a sad reality. You also have to accept that in the world that when you already in the place of having like lots of anxiety and stuff, then it's like it prompts you to smoke more. You don't want to go get food. You just want to smoke a cigarette. You just want to have more coffee. Like you don't want to deal with what's in front of you because you have this anxiety. So it can be a rough downward spiral. Obviously, everybody here watching this is glad that you've come out through it. As you can see, so much better on the other side. But yeah, I think you have a good mentality about this, like where it's like a learning experience. You've been through that, you learned through this, your experiences, and you're better off for it now. Because I mean, you don't want to be sitting now living with regrets and things. So I think it is a very healthy mentality you have.
Thanks. Yeah, and I would just like to touch on that. Yeah, a big part of my anxiety that I didn't mention actually was my fear of asphyxiation. So that was really like the stem of everything. So like for example, when I'd be in I have claustrophobia, like when I used to get like claustrophobic, and then I would I would struggle to breathe because all of a sudden my anxiety meter would be like bah 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 bah, like going crazy, like we are dying, Travis, we're dying. I'm like, no, we're not, and I had to like retrain my brain. Like my brain a lot of times would just jump to the worst conclusion, like, oh yeah, we're dying, heart attack, here we go. And like I'm like, no, like we're not, like we're fine, and it's crazy, like when you stop and you think and you like retrain your brain to go through these these levels. It's a very weird feeling because it feels like you're in this new ground where like your brain just doesn't know what's going on. It's like, oh, we're not dying, really. And yeah, and I wanted to touch on another point, but I forgot now. But yeah, it's crazy like how powerful your brain is. Like it just determines, yep, we're dying, and then like your heart just starts racing and you're like, what? And that it got to a point where I'm still struggling with this now, but I'm a lot better than previously, where whenever I stop and I think about my breathing gets worse. It's so weird. Like it's the weirdest thing ever. It's like I breathe fine, like autopilot breathing is completely fine. But the second I start thinking about my breathing and try to control it manually, it's a shit show. And it's crazy. Like your brain is so powerful. And I think the biggest thing is like saying to yourself in the mirror, being honest to yourself and saying like, listen, we have a problem. Like I love talking to myself. I really do. Like I talk to myself in the mirror every day, and I even talk to myself like when I make coffee and stuff. And I would say like, Travis, we have a problem here. Like it's a big problem. Like let's deal with it. And it's frightening, because it feels like you're naked all of a sudden in front of yourself, and you're like, wait, I do have issues. I do have a problem, and really opening up to yourself about this. And then you're like, okay, well, how are we gonna fix it? And then you feel a bit better because now you're already like you're tackling this issue. And it might not even be the perfect way to fix it, but who cares? As long as you're taking a step to the right direction. And I felt like during the lockdown as well, I had like shades of depression coming in and stuff because I was so sick and tired of having these breathing problems, having these shallow breathing, and like sometimes I just walk outside my house and I get like frozen and I don't want to leave or something. Like there's so many random things that happen. But like I just said, fuck it, I'm just gonna like tackle it. I would pray, I would just go do it, and I would just be like, okay, well, I'm gonna conquer my demons today, And it just takes one day at a time. Because that's all, you only live one day at a time, so just take it one day at a time. That's what I do.
No, that's great to see. It's a phenomenal mentality. And like the reason, like even before this podcast started, I asked you if I could ask you about this stuff because I think it's so fucking important, right? I think like if we were talking about the physical aspects of it, daily, it's not just Dota. I mean, in the NBA, there was, DeMar DeRozan, he like broke new grounds as one of the first players ever to talk about like being depressed and stuff. And you think these guys are like star players earning $1 million contracts, etc. They wouldn't go through these things, but again, it affects them. I mean, Kevin Love, like you say, he was one of LeBron James's teammates. He had a panic attack one time while he was playing. He ran to the bathroom. He called the medical team. He's like, no, I'm dying. We need to go to the hospital now, whatever. And he got there. They're like, man, you had a panic attack. There's nothing medically wrong with you, but this is what happened. And he was saying it's such a big experience, and he never thought just from your mental health this could happen. And I think the reason, again, I think it's so important. Like you almost in a way charting new ground because I'm like, obviously people do talk about this kind of stuff in esports, etc. But like not enough. And the thing is, this doesn't have anything to do with esports or sports specifically, but it's life things. But again, if you're involved in these space, this is the things that matter. For all we know, if like this could be the make or break thing. I mean, so for a lot of players, you don't want to see talent wasted or whatever because just they're going through a rough human thing when we need to destigmatize in a way and be like open about this. How do we deal with this, etc. Because again, it happens to the best of people. I mean, it happened to Travis Castaway, SA star player. It happened to NBA players. It can happen to anybody. So we need to be better as a community in dealing with this, even from the esports side.
I don't know I think it should be. I think it should be spoken about at school and taught at school. Like I don't know why. Like we have this incredible supercomputer as a brain, and yet we like barely touch on it, and we're emotional as well. So you combine this like supercomputer human brain with emotions, and like that's a human, and we live in a society that's a certain way and stuff like this and that. But I don't want to go down that road. But like it just makes sense. Like there's going to be mental issues, there's going to be mental health issues. Why don't we talk about it? Why isn't it a big thing? Like I never knew about it my whole life. I always like memed about it, like, oh, Lil, you too sad or something, if you're depressed, or if you're anxious, just get stronger, or something. But then all of a sudden to get like diagnosed with it, like full on, and you really think like you're dying, and it's incredible. Like the brain is so hilarious, I find, because like I would sometimes get panic attacks and I would feel a pain on my left side, and instantly you jump to Google and you go, oh, Google, I have pain left side, am I dying, how long do I have to live? But at the end of the day, your heart isn't even located there, but your brain is just like from from people saying it's on the left-hand side, it just thinks the pain is there, and it's a complete fake pain. Because a real heart attack, you'll feel it's in the center, and because that's where your heart is, it's just slightly to the left, and then you would feel your left arm would go like a searing pain and stuff like this. But that never happened, and I'm still here. Like, that's the funniest part of panic attacks. Like, I'm like, after, even though I've had like hundreds of panic attacks probably, and I've still made it through all of them. So now whenever I have like a panic attack, which is very rare, like maybe once every few months, like the randomest things, I'm just like, brain, and now, like, we've been here, we've done that, like, come on, and it's hilarious. Like, I just sit there and I look at myself in the mirror, and like eventually my brain will calm down, and I'm like, you have to just teach yourself like that this is something you can just get over. I told someone on YouTube, in the YouTube comment once, he thanked me for it. I was like, your brain learns how to just panic over everything. You can unlearn it, you can untrain your brain, train it positively. And that's what I'm doing. And it's like the smallest things, and it's like the little key switches, and it makes the world a difference.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Travis. It was great interview
Thank
on
you
so many fronts. The Dota analysis, the shade, the drama between the teams, that shade at the esports industry, mostly from me, had to come out as well. And then obviously this important chat we had here. I mean, we're coming to a bit of a close here at the end, but is there anything you'd like to add? Maybe plans for the future? Shout out to your teammates. Anything you'd want to talk about? Floor is yours.
Well, yeah, I would first say shout out to my teammates for being such amazing people, being great Dota players. All glory to God as well for helping me through everything, for sure. I would also say shout out to the people that hosted, like Halberd and Sushi Bushi and everyone that really like hosted the last event. It was great. Like, they didn't have a huge budget, and they put on a great show. Shout out to the Dota community. Shout out to my small Twitch chat. I love you guys. You always watch my games. And yeah, thanks to Ivo and Sid5 and all the management for believing in us as a roster, me as an individual. And yeah, and I hope that the future plans definitely come to fruition, like owning the EU scene, the tier 2 scene, slowly grinding to tier 1. We play these regional leagues and stuff whenever they come out, maybe 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, whenever Valve decides. But yeah, that's definitely the plan. And yeah, thanks again for having me, and like always, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
I can get behind that message. So sweet, so nice. What a gentleman. That's the end of the podcast. But before we go, follow this man on Twitter. Go check out his Twitch and just keep your eye out, because I am telling you, this man, he will be a star one day. He's a star in SA already, but overseas, he'll be making it. Much love, Travis. Thank you, everybody, for listening today. That's a wrap for this episode. See you in the next one.
Cheers.